So I just want to talk briefly about all the different types of salt that you can buy. First of all, I plead to you, please throw away your iodized salt. It really has no purpose anymore. We don't see that people are having a lack of iodine in their diet. And the only thing it really does to your food is make your food taste salty. The purpose of salt, and any chef will tell you, it is the most important ingredient in the kitchen. The purpose of salt is to actually enhance the flavor of food. And always when you season with salt, you want to add it gradually from beginning to end. You should never try and add salt right at the end. Otherwise, you're going to end up using more salt than you should. And a lot of people who are concerned about too much sodium in their diet, this is very important. The best example of this is when you're cooking pastas or green vegetables in boiling water. You always want to use about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of salt. This is really going to get the seasoning at the very beginning of the cooking process as opposed to trying to season it at the end. So we have a couple of different salts here. My personal favorite is Diamond Crystal Kosher Salt. And I believe that you should become very intimate with the salt that you choose. That means pick a brand, pick a style, and stick with it. Every time I cook, my students always ask, when I add a pinch of salt, how much was that? And I always have to say a big pinch, a little pinch, because you'll get to know the size of your pinches based on when you taste the food and what you think they need. If you're changing the brand of your salt or the type of salt that you're using, your pinches are going to be changed. The amount of sodium in your pinches will change as well. So always pick something. For general cooking purposes, I always use kosher salt, and my personal preference is Diamond Crystal. This is what I learned to cook on in culinary school and have stuck with ever since. Now, there's a couple of different other types. Sea salt is very common. A lot of students want to know about sea salt. Sea salt is great to cook with. It's a little bit more expensive, and as chefs, we tend to be very cheap people. So typically we like to use the cheaper salts for the cooking process, and then we may garnish with sea salt at the end. The best thing ever is taking a steak right off the grill or out of a pan and really garnishing it with just a couple of crystals of sea salt. And this really makes the flavor of the steak pop as well. So we have some coarse sea salt here. You can also do fine sea salt as well. We have some what we call gray salt, and you can see this is very coarse. So again, would be used more for a garnish. Then we have the Himalaya pink salt. This is becoming very popular. They actually have salt blocks that you can use with this, where you cook things on the salt block or you let things sit on the salt block and it absorbs the salt. That's fine too. And then another popular thing that's coming about is smoked salt. And here again, it's giving you a little bit of flavor. Don't want to overdo it with the smoke though. So you always want to garnish with this at the end. And I suggest that you actually try salts. I did a salt tasting once with a group of students. It was really interesting to see the difference between all the different salts. Some are more minerally than others. Some Florida salt, which is like the creme de la creme of sea salt, actually almost has this pop rocks effects when you eat it. It kind of pops in your mouth a little bit. So different salts are going to give you different flavors and different textures as well. So always play around, go to a place where they've got a wide variety and see what, try a couple of different types.